Hey, folks, welcome. Another episode. We have now the most progressive, liberal, ridiculously, incredibly progressive liberal ticket we've ever seen on the Democrat side. What was Kamala thinking? Who the hell knows? We're going into the details. Basically, we're going to spend the next 3 months completely exposing the Harris Walz campaign. We've got that. A squad member goes down. Thank the Lord. Little story on the Olympics and some other stuff today. We got some videos to play all on another episode of what, Jimmy?
Two Guys, One Coup, coming to you live on the Patriots Prayer Network.
America. It's time to wake up. I'm awake. Folks, I'm telling you, we are still remote here on location, Jim and I. So if there's any Wi-Fi issues, we apologize.
It's my fault.
Not technically your fault. I mean, it's not all your fault, but I mean, it's not completely your
I'm
fault.
used to taking blame for everything.
You are, but Jim, let's get into the show today. Holy crap, what was Kamala thinking? What was he thinking? Oh, hey, wait, folks, listen. Good news.
Awesome.
So a little surprise for you here. We didn't know for sure, but you want to know about Governor Tim Walz. We've got someone that we're going to bring up here that can tell you exactly who this guy is. Let me introduce a little bit of him to you, and then we'll bring him up, and we can get right into this. We're glad to have with us and proud to have with us Representative Walter Hudson from the state of Minnesota, House Rep there. He's a Republican member of the Minnesota House of Representatives, representing District 30A since January 2023. Prior to his election at the House, Hudson served on the Albertville City Council for 7 years, where he focused on local governance and community issues. He has a background in business management and information technology, holding a BS in information technology. He's also been active as a media commentator, advocating for justice and public policy. This guy knows Governor Tim Walz directly from the great state of Minnesota. Let's bring him up. Walter, I'll add you to the stage here. There you are, sir. How are you? It's been forever.
Yeah.
It has been a while. The last time we did this was when, from my office in St. Paul, we were in the middle of legislative session. So several months for sure.
Yeah. Several months for sure. I follow you on TikTok still. I see a lot of your videos. You are quite the advocate for your state, for parental rights in Minnesota, for big advocate for police and law, everything Governor Walz is not. So basically, what we hear, and this is kind of what Jim and I were talking about, a lot of people don't really know about Governor Walz, right? He's kind of, I don't know how, back during the George Floyd and BLM riots, and basically let Minneapolis burn to the ground. And so we hear things, we research, we do studies. What we're hearing is true. We thought of no better person that could tell us than Representative Hudson. So thank you again for coming on the show. We know you have limited time this morning. Give us your
Dale,
feelings on it.
Dale, real quick, can we make an announcement again that we're not on La Native Patriot X?
Oh, yeah, correct. So, if you're watching us there, go to the Patriots Prayer X page, and you'll see us there live. Also, Facebook and YouTube and Rumble. So, Representative, again, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. I know it was last minute. We appreciate you getting back to us as quickly as you did. Wow. Fill us in. What do we need to know about this guy?
Yeah, what are we expecting here?
Mm-hmm.
I think the first thing to note is exactly what you started off with, is that nobody knows who Tim Walz is. Now, that has exploded in the last 24 hours in terms of him being exposed, both in terms of who he is, the nature of his personality, his character, his agenda, his deeds, the things that he's done, the type of person that he is. It's amazing how the national spotlight has suddenly revealed all of these things that have been so effectively obscured up until this moment. And the reason for that, and I've talked to a number of audiences in the last 24 hours about Tim Walz and here in Minnesota. And one of the things that folks are concerned about, Republicans, is that, well, this is potentially going to have a bad effect on us down ballot here in Minnesota, because the kind of home team spirit is going to motivate people to support Tim Walz, and that's going to have an impact down ballot. And I am taking the other side of that bet. And the reason why is because the truth of who Tim Walz is, the truth of what Tim Walz has done, has been effectively obscured, not just by him and by the liars in his Democrat Party, but also by an incompetent and culpable mainstream media in this state that spends time writing about his favorite casserole recipes and his big dad energy and all of these puff pieces that we saw leading up to him being selected by Kamala Harris as the vice presidential pick. And that's fine, to enjoy that curtain from which to hide behind as the wizard in the state of Minnesota. But when you put your name on a national ticket, when you put your name up there to be considered vice president of the United States, suddenly you're going to have media outlets from the other 49 states taking a good, long, fresh, deep look into you.
Right.
And you ain't going to be able to hide from that.
Yep. That's
so what I think we're going to see happening in the state of Minnesota over the course of the next 3 months is a lot of folks who live here who don't know Tim Walz because their media doesn't do their job in this state are going to get to know him and think, I didn't realize that's what we had in charge of this state. I didn't realize that law had been passed. I didn't realize this has been happening over the course of the last 2 years because my media has been talking about his casserole recipes and his coaching style.
Yeah.
And that's going to have a mitigating impact on any kind of hometown boost that this guy's going to have.
Good. Yeah.
Okay. So let's ask the most important thing right now on America's right now is the economy, right? We're seeing a whole bunch of, so give us, because I'm not familiar with the economy in Minnesota. I hear about what he's done with the George Floyd riot. I heard what he did with letting illegals come in, give them driver's license and everything else. But from an economy standpoint, do you feel comfortable? And I think I know the answer, but let's hear it. Do you feel comfortable that he is going to be able to help Kamala and the progressive Democrats fix this economy?
No. That's the short answer.
I thought that would be the answer.
Yeah.
So while you were asking the question, and I very much appreciate you taking the time it took to ask it, because that gave me the time to look up some good data here. I'm looking at a tweet that was put out by former state representative Pat Garofalo. And this was in July. And one of the things that Pat's really good at is looking at data and looking at economic data.
Yeah.
And what he retweeted here was IRS in migration to out migration comparisons. And the headline here from Chris Edwards is the IRS has released new data on interstate migration for households with income over $200,000. So this would be, the people, the folks who are apparently not paying their fair share.
Yeah. Yep.
Best in migration migration ratio is Florida, and the worst is Illinois. Minnesota in here. Let me back up to what Pat had to say about it. The billions in income that has fled has left the rest shouldering more of the tax burden. This is unsustainable and a threat to our quality of life. So that's his short answer on it.
Sure.
I'm looking for exactly where Minnesota is, but it's in a bad spot. I won't take time. Yeah. But and it's grown, right? Like this is a problem that has been noted prior to this term, where we're saying we're losing money. We're losing net income in the state of Minnesota as a direct result of the policies that you're imposing as Democrats. And so what did they do? They took an $18 billion state budget surplus, spent every thin dime of it. They raised taxes by $10 billion. They increased the state budget by 40%. They created a brand new state agency, the Department for Children, Youth, and Families. Think of it as the Sunshine, Unicorn, and Roses department. Yeah. And, so they're expanding government, expanding spending everything they have in sight. And as Pat very gently points out, the best thing you can say about it is that it's unsustainable. The best thing you can say about it is that we're not going to be able to keep this up. Yeah. The vast majority of that $18 billion budget surplus was one-time federal dollars granted during the COVID era. It ain't coming year after year after year. Yep. And so where's that money going to come from? Well, you could say, we're going to make the rich pay their fair share. The rich are leaving the state. Because it turns out they didn't get rich by being stupid.
Correct.
So they're not going to stay here. Yep. And so that's where we find ourselves. And Tim Walz has had an aggressively, he's come out and said, socialism is neighborliness.
Yep. That's what he said. Yep.
So this is a guy who is aggressively anti-wealth, aggressively anti-wealth generation. If you're productive, if you're virtuous, if you're innocent, you are on the menu in the state of Minnesota.
Wow.
If you're a criminal, though, or an illegal alien, or you're engaged in human trafficking and you want to lure kids over here to do God knows what to them, Tim Walz is your guy.
Right? Yep. And that's what America can expect from that ticket. You've got what was at the time the most progressive left senator. Now their candidate for president, and probably one of the, if not the most progressive left governor as her running mate. That's a combination for disaster, and we all know it. Now, whether or not the rest of the mainstream media jumps on board with any of that, there's a love affair going on. Obviously, Kamala Harris now is, the worst vice president in our history, now to the best candidate possible that could ever be ran, installing her in that position. And whether the media will portray any of that, obviously, I think we know the answer. Most likely not. Right. But there's enough voices. There's enough people out there that are now, like you said, exposing who Tim Walz really is and all about his life, that I think it's going to be hard to hide it from most people at this point. Let's get into the policy there's two policies that really just, I think, hit home with America. One of them is illegals in the country. Signing a bill to give them driver's licenses when they come over. That's just obviously bad policy. And we know why they're doing it. And of course, sanctuary state for children who are parents who want to bring their children to transition, gender transitioning in Minnesota. These are two absolutely bizarre policies, and it's driven by his base, the staff, the left progressive agenda, right? Let's talk about the sanctuary one first. Children transitioning. What have you seen since that bill's gone into place? I've seen videos of parents who brought their children there. A big interview with one group of parents who also should be locked up, by the way, the parents. But that's another subject. What have you seen since those policies have been implemented in the state of Minnesota? And what does it mean for America, really?
Yeah, I'm afraid we're not going to see much above the surface because it's all been tailored to have no reporting and have no scrutiny made of what's taking place and keep any records of it. They want to keep all that behind the scenes. They want to keep all that behind the curtain. But what we have heard under the surface is that law enforcement circles throughout the nation now regard Minnesota as one of the havens for human trafficking. And of course they do. Of course they do. Because it is. Because when you take this bill, which says that if you smuggle a child across our state line from anywhere in the world, not just another state, anywhere in the world, you get them here under the auspices of them receiving gender affirming care, then that's it. It's see no evil, hear no evil. It's a state of anarchy. We don't care what you do, or we're not going to hold you accountable. We're not going to ask any questions. And it's the same thing with abortion. The first bill that they offered in both chambers here in Minnesota under the trifecta, they have created an absolute state of anarchy when it comes to the unborn. And where a girl of any age, there's no downward limit, can walk into an unregulated, uninspected clinic, reproductive health care center, and get anything done to her, not just terminate a pregnancy. She could be sterilized. She can get something in the name of gender affirming care that alters her body. And there's no requirement for parental notification, certainly no requirement for parental consent. And there could be anybody sitting outside in a running car on the curb waiting for her on the other side of that door. And nobody's even going to bother to ask the question. And so Minnesota has become a haven for human trafficking, international human trafficking, as a direct result of the governance of Tim Walz. In fact, international human trafficking is the only business that it's good to be in Minnesota.
That's
because
statements.
It's the only business where government's going to stay out of it.
That's right.
Entirely.
Wow.
In fact, they'll subsidize it because a lot of this stuff, a lot of this care, quote unquote, that's being offered is subsidized by public tax dollars.
Holy
so
smokes.
imagine some island somewhere where you could go build a widget factory, and not only is there no government in your business about it, but they'll actually pay you to build the widgets.
Unbelievable.
That'd be pretty amazing, huh?
Well, sure would. Everybody go there.
That's effectively what we're doing here in the state of Minnesota.
This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. And that's who she picked as her running mate. Why do you think, what do you think the advantage was to pick him? How did that even happen? For one, we would think, outside looking in, most likely Minnesota's going blue, right? I mean, that's a very hard state to change at this point with the
we're working hard, but that is the reality.
That is the reality. But I know, and you are, working hard at it. Why would she pick him? What's the advantage?
So that is the question, and it is really fascinating. I have been very excited about this news because to me, it was the most obviously stupid choice you could possibly make.
Yeah, that's what we think.
And so I struggle to come up with what the argument for it possibly was, because you're absolutely right. I mean, you look at Josh Shapiro, who I believe was the preferred pick.
Agreed.
I mean, she made the announcement in Pennsylvania. Why are you doing it there?
Why are you doing it there? Correct.
Right. And that makes a ton of sense, right? I mean, it comes with geography. You're taking a state that you need to win and potentially putting it into your corner. He's relatively moderate. You need to balance out the ticket. She's been rated as the most liberal senator, even more so than Bernie Sanders. Right?
Correct.
So all conventional wisdom points to a pick like that, if not Shapiro. Now, we know why Shapiro wasn't picked.
We sure do.
You can't be a Jew and a Democrat in 2024.
Cannot. That's right. Nope.
Party of diversity, inclusion, and tolerance. Sure don't like them any Jews. Right?
That's right.
So that's
true.
That's where we're at in 2024. And so that's why they couldn't pick him. But to pick Walz, as you point out, he adds nothing.
He has nothing.
Nothing. In fact,
go ahead.
what Tim Walz is, he is the after picture to Kamala's before.
Mm-hmm.
So everything
Good point.
that Kamala dreams of accomplishing, everything that Kamala dreams of having her name stamped on in terms of policy, Tim Walz has actually done in the state of Minnesota. Tim Walz has turned Minnesota into a socialist hellscape.
Yep.
Where people who are smart enough to produce value are leaving the state if they have the means. Yep. Where illegal aliens are subsidized on the public dole and welcomed with open arms and given driver's licenses, where children can be mutilated and poisoned and before they're born killed with impunity.
Yep.
It is, if you are a human life hating socialist brat, which she has branded herself, I'm brat.
Yep.
Then you love the state of Minnesota and would love to see it duplicated nationally. And so Harris and Walz are like the before and after picture, but that doesn't help you electorally.
Correct.
Right? Like you're not. And so I think what we've gotten to is a place where, and we've seen this in Minnesota, where the inmates are entirely in charge of the asylum.
Yep.
The Democrat Party is completely lost to rabidly radical, anti-American crazies. They are in charge.
Yep.
And the electoral strategy and the legislative strategy that we've seen here in the state of Minnesota has been to cut out everyone else. They're not interested at all in Republicans' opinions about anything.
Yeah.
And increasingly, they're not interested at all in independents' opinions
there you have
about
it.
Anything. Instead, what they're relying on is building the coalition out, building the constituency of aggrieved, pissed off, discontented Neanderthals in their ranks.
Yeah.
And promising them, you know, if you come with us, we'll give you this. If you come with us, we'll give you that. Oh, you're a felon, we'll let you vote. Yep. Oh, you're an illegal alien, well, we'll give you driver's license and subsidize your health care and send your kids to college. Right? They're trying to build out this coalition of people who have been promised things that they won't be able to deliver on.
Correct.
Because it's unsustainable. Right. But that's their strategy is let's lean into the radicalness and build out a coalition of radicals that's so big that it overwhelms everyone else.
Yeah.
That's their strategy.
The most dangerous pick for us on the Republican side would have been, in my opinion, Mark Kelly out of Arizona. But they didn't necessarily need Arizona. That's pretty much in their well anyway. But the question is this: going back to Minnesota. We see in the national news, like if we watch CNN, MSNBC, we're going to see nothing about the negative stuff that you just said about, the Governor Walz. Let me ask you this. Is Minnesota or Minneapolis or any of the networks in the area, the local television, do they talk about stuff like this? And do the people of Minnesota know about this? Is he a popular governor?
Yeah, like Shapiro is, but Shapiro in a different way. Shapiro helped deliver Pennsylvania. Shapiro towed the line and did what he was told to do and got Pennsylvania in 2020 for the Democrats. Is Walz that kind of guy? The perception with people. I agree, Jim. That was a good question. Actually, I want to know that.
Yeah, I would say that Tim Walz is a popular governor. I mean, how else do you get? And I don't understand why.
Yeah, no.
Okay,
no,
because I don't know how you get reelected after letting Minneapolis burn.
Agreed.
And shutting everybody into their home and closing all their businesses and closing their churches, but leaving the liquor stores open and showing obvious favoritism to your personal and political friends by letting them open their big box stores and we have Minnesota's largest candy store down south in the metro here. It's owned by a personal friend of Tim Walz and miraculously was exempt from the shutdowns. There's absolutely no reason logically, scientifically why that should have been the case, but it's obvious why it was.
Correct.
And so it's a couple of different things is, as we've stated, the media just being completely incompetent / intentionally bad at their jobs. Sure. But then also Tim Walz is a masterful liar. And that is the one thing that he brings to the ticket,
Yep.
is that this guy has the capacity. He will look you in the eye, lie to your face,
Mm-hmm.
accuse you of what he's doing, all with a fatherly smile.
That's right.
And a
That's right.
little bit of some salt added to it too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Throw in a little folksy cursing.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Like he is a rhetorical wizard. And so people who are barely paying attention, which is most people,
which is correct.
Exactly.
right?
You're right.
People who are barely paying attention and who are only driven by sentiment and who don't know any better because their media is not doing their job,
Yes.
buy into that.
Mm-hmm.
And by contrast, there hasn't been, certainly statewide, there hasn't been a contrasting figure to tell the truth about what's going on, who has a similar skill set that they use for good rather than evil.
Yep. Wow.
And you know, but he does fit. In all honesty, in my opinion, he does fit. Then, if he's a very good liar, he fits with everybody on the progressive side, and it fits. It matches perfectly.
Well, you have to be. You can't be.
You can't tell the truth with those policies. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they make communism sound great.
Do they not? Do they not? Representative, we know you're short on time. We know, I don't know if you've got any more time or not, but we knew you kind of had like a time frame here, so we don't want to keep you longer than you can actually stay. Tell us now, if you can, we can move on from there. But in the state of Minnesota, obviously, it's a tight, it's a fine line. At least last we talked, it was a very narrow lead for the Democrats in that state, in the House and all that. Still the case. What do you predict might happen here? And is there enough conservative Republican voters left in the state that aren't moving out to actually make the switch? Yeah.
No, I think the answer to that is unquestionably yes.
Okay, good.
So, this is where I derive my optimism from, is Republicans, and this is true beyond Minnesota, but certainly in Minnesota, in 2022, we didn't earn it. And so we lost it.
Yep.
In
correct.
2022, we were riding on historical trends and polling.
The big red wave.
Big red wave, right? All of which would have manifest under the old electoral system, where you just have election day and you have things like an October surprise and you're relying on big mailers and TV ads and things of that nature. But what we allowed to pass us by is the shifting reality that none of that really matters anymore. Certainly not to the degree that it used to. What matters is the ground operation of chasing down ballots and getting ballots into boxes. Democrats were the only ones out on the field playing that game. We sat at home defiantly refusing to participate in an election scheme that we don't agree with. We had statewide candidates in this state in 2022 who were telling their supporters not to vote until 5 p.m. on election day. Well, turns out that's a terrible strategy, right? Because there's a dozen different things that could happen. It could be raining. There could be a blizzard. Your kid could get sick. You could get held up at work. The likelihood of you actually being able to follow. There could be technical problems at the polling place.
Imagine that. Yeah.
Right. And so this time around, and as a result, turns out people listened. They didn't show up. 2,500 to 3,500 known Republican voters per House district in the state of Minnesota did not vote. If half of those had turned out, I mean, the difference in winning and losing, I believe, came down to about 1 or 2 voters per precinct in the state of Minnesota.
You have to vote.
You got to vote. And
Yep.
so we've learned our lesson. It was learned pretty immediately with the results of 22. And now you've got throughout the Republican coalition, not just an understanding, but a commitment to being on the field and doing the actual work.
It's encouraging.
Now, the reason why that's so encouraging is because in spite of the fact that we basically sat on our backsides in 22 and tried to surf a non-existent wave,
Yeah.
we still almost won.
I know you're right.
Within 0.5%
Yeah.
of attorney general, within 0.5% of state auditor. We only lost the Senate by 1 district.
Yeah.
We were only 4 districts down in the House. So what happens if real Americans decide to get off their butts and actually do this election work? Boy, that can make a heck of a difference, right? And so that is what it comes down to. The question of what's going to happen is answered by what are you going to do?
Correct. Exactly. Is there a governor or Senator Hudson in the future at some point, or is?
So I very much appreciate the interest that gets shown by folks in something along those lines. But I got to tell you, I'm a first-term rank and file member. On a couple of committees, not in leadership within the caucus. I feel like I'm just getting my feet underneath me. And we have so much work left to do in the legislature. I'm running for re-election to the Minnesota House. It's my hope to be part of a governing majority in the Minnesota House as Republicans. There's plenty of work to do there, and we'll let tomorrow take care of itself.
Good.
Fair enough.
Good.
That's
good. Fair enough. And thank God you're there, actually.
And if you want to come into Indiana, you're more than welcome.
I think you're welcome anywhere. We really appreciate your insights on this. We know you are short on time. We hope you can come back. We'll stay in touch. There's a lot that's going to happen in the next 3 months, and we'd love to have your insights on it all. We absolutely respect your opinion, and nobody knows more about the state of Minnesota and what's happening there, and of course Governor Walz, than you do. So again, we thank you very much for coming on, and we hope to talk to you very, very soon.
I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you. All right, thanks. We appreciate it. Excellent. I'm telling you, folks. And we saw comments here, and I apologize for not getting to them, but I wanted to focus on the representative himself. He knows he is solid. He's absolutely solid and a smart man. He is first term. We get that. But he knows what the hell's going on there. Jim, real quick, before we get the comments and all that, we do got to hear from our friends at Grit Gear. Okay. We definitely need to hear that. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back.
Grit is defined as firmness of character, unyielding courage in the face of hardship or danger. At Grit Gear Apparel, we honor all military, police, fire, public service, and patriotic Americans, both men and women regardless of color, creed, or religion. Our brand represents the love and freedom for our country, the heroism of all our men and women, and the principles of what this wonderful country was built on. Our goal is to regenerate the sense of patriotism and to spark the American pride within us, to stand together in the toughest times and become victorious, to preserve all our freedoms, to honor our flag, and to respect the men and women who have fought and died for us to have these freedoms. Wear our brand with pride, with a sense of patriotism, and as a statement for the love of our country. Whether you're military, public official, or civilian, our brand is for you. Together we stand as Americans.
Folks, yes, remember that. That is Grit Gear Apparel. That's www.gritgearapparel.com, and Lock and Load Coffee, www.lockandloadcoffee.com. Please go there. There's shirt, hats. I've got 72 other things on the way. Hopefully it'll be home when I get there finally. But folks, get there, order it, go to this company, support them. Veteran supported, family owned and operated. Thank you, Buckeye. Welcome back, by the way. We missed you on Monday. Absolutely. Lockandloadcoffee.com. Please go support them. You get 10% off your first order by using coupon code 2GUYS. Family owned and operated, true America first company. We usually get to them sooner in a show, but we wanted to get Representative Hudson on here as quickly as possible. He was short on time. Great insights from him again. Great insights. I'm going to play a couple comments here. I love this one. I'm surprised she didn't pick
in all honesty, that probably would have been.
Exactly. And then here, this from Buckeye. Let's face it, they're all bad shit libs. So it was picking crazy that they wanted. That's absolutely true. This one right
Well-
here, Sean P said she picked him to kowtow to the far left base to prevent party fracture so close to election, and she has no way to play to the center now. 100% agreed, and that's what Jim and I think comments basically are, and what we've talked about. She's lost all independence, I think, at this point. I think the independents are absolutely not going to fall for this. They're not going to fall for it.
Let's look at what they've done, and you and I have talked about this.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
they're either the dumbest. Well, we know they are, but
Right.
they're either the dumbest or the most clever people, or they already know the election is in the bag because
Or they think so, right?
they can spin this however they want to.
Yep,
They did
correct.
not choose Governor Shapiro out of Pennsylvania because he's
Because he
Jewish.
was Jewish.
They can
That's
spin it however they want to. So
They can,
the latest poll come out of New York.
Mhm.
President Trump is now leading in New York for the Jewish vote,
Yep.
predominantly Democrat vote. So they're
That's correct.
isolating the Democrat votes, and I think that's going to just continue to grow.
I think so
Okay,
too.
so there's that.
Mhm.
Now they're disenfranchising the moderate side of their base,
That's right.
the independents. They've pretty much just flipped everyone off and said, "See ya."
See him. That's
we
right.
Don't care. We don't give a crap about what you guys want.
Mhm.
We want the people that want to mutilate kids. We want the people that
illegals?
kill babies.
We want
We
people
want
that
those people. We don't
we want
want
those people.
normal thinking Americans. We don't want them.
Yep. That's right.
And
You're
that's
not
what they've
welcome here.
done. And-
You're not
and this
welcome here.
guy, I just can't. I believe Mark Kelly would have been a very dangerous pick.
I think so too,
And
because
because
of he's an astronaut,
his
and he's
story-
he's as left as the rest of them. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong.
His story.
Yep.
You know,
correct.
Eddie posted on there that the same thing. Eddie posted a little bit earlier about,
Mm.
or this one, you
Yeah.
know, or even Mark Kelly would have been a more formidable.
It would have
pick.
been. Absolutely would have been. You know, so there's
real
no doubt
quick,
about it. Yep.
Just a reminder to everybody. If you watch us on La Native Patriot X, it's not up right now.
Not
I
up.
think
It's not. Yeah,
I
it's
think
not
it will be
recording
the
on
next time because I think it's been 24, 48 hours. It's supposed to be updated and everything.
Yep.
So
We will share it to La
you-
Native
yeah,
afterwards, but right now, if you're watching it live there, it's not there. So
But you
have to
can
go to
watch
Patriots
us on
Prayer, Facebook,
Patriots Prayer,
Patriots
right.
Prayer Facebook page. You can go to the Rumble, where a lot of you are watching at YouTube, all that. Jim, let's hear what JD Vance had to say about the pair, the gruesome twosome of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Isn't it funny that Kamala Harris, the border czar, let's not forget she was the border czar because they want you to.
they're trying to,
They want you to. Never happened, right? Nothing to see here. Isn't it funny that Kamala Harris picked a guy with the last name of Walz? Build the walls, folks.
and he wanted to buy a bunch of ladders 30 feet tall so they can climb over it.
So they could climb over it. It's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. Let's hear what JD Vance had to say about him. Maybe you know that weird guy, JD Vance?
Mhm.
Yeah, let's hear what he had to say.
This is a guy who's proposed shipping more manufacturing jobs to China, who wants to make the American people more reliant on garbage energy instead of good American energy, and has proposed defunding the police just as Kamala Harris does. I think it's interesting, actually. They make an interesting tag team because, of course, Tim Walz allowed rioters to burn down Minneapolis in the summer of 2020, and then the few who got caught, Kamala Harris helped bail them out of jail. So it is more instructive for what it says about Kamala Harris that she doesn't care about the border, she doesn't care about crime, she doesn't care about American energy, and most importantly, she doesn't care about the Americans who have been made to suffer under those policies.
Say no more. Boy, what a weird statement, huh?
and let's go back, and I dare somebody to prove any of those statements wrong.
I do too. Go ahead and prove them wrong. You can't do it. You absolutely can't do it. But remember, JD Vance and Trump are weird. Is this ticket creepy? Let me look at this real quick. It is no longer the Democrat Party. It's now the Marx. Absolutely.
It's exactly
Absolutely
right.
Marxist Lenin Party.
Proved it. They just proved it.
That pick proved it, nailed it. That's exactly what's happening. You think these two are creepy?
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening.
This is creepy.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening.
Oh, I want to slit my wrists.
I mean,
I hear her
was that not the
voice.
creepy? From when him standing behind her, was that not creepy? Now, you and I suggest what he whispered to her.
Yeah, Remember what
hey, we'll see.
remember what you promised me, Kamala.
And I don't know
knees, woman.
And I just want to say one thing. I don't know what this individual is trying to do. But first of all, JD Vance does have a clue.
Yeah.
And she was the border czar. If she was made that within the first year of his administration,
Correct,
to go and fix the border. We have interviews on that. So that is not bullshit. That is true.
Yep.
She was assigned the border and she never went to the border.
Oh, you're talking about this troll?
Yeah.
That put that up. JD Vance don't have a clue.
I don't know who this individual is. Don't know.
I don't know.
Yep.
But yeah, it says the border czar is BS. I mean, the things that they believe that what they've been force fed, the sheep on the left, and the things that they just refuse to research. And it's simple. It takes seconds to learn the truth, people.
I mean, the left is trying to delete all this stuff.
Well, they erase history just like by tearing down statues. Those
of us have saved the videos.
Yeah.
But
they're not. Let's see if the troll understands this video real quick. Here's your potential future vice president.
But we can get out there, reach out, make the case. And for one thing, don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness.
Oh, socialism is now neighborliness. But nah, no big deal. He just comes out and says it. It's obvious.
If you want to know what socialism does,
it makes it.
Anybody watch Venezuela? They don't want it.
Yeah.
They absolutely don't want it because there's
why don't they want it? Why don't they want it?
And you know what's ironic? They seem to attack the wealthy. But do you know who seems to be okay under this progressive administration? Illegals and billionaires.
Yep, that's it.
They always seem to do well.
Yep.
The rest of us suffer.
There is no middle class.
And
it's upper and lower, and that's
this is what
have nots with socialism, people.
We want more of this stuff.
Yeah. Jim, we want to play now. This video is going to take a minute or two. It's about a 5-minute video, but honestly, I think this is worth it, and it goes really deeply into who Tim Walz is, because if you've noticed now, they're showing his military background. He was in the military. He was a good soldier. He was a good fighter for this country. He served, and he he served more than I did. I did not serve, I mean, I chose a college path, it's not obvious that I chose that path, but I did. And, but don't let that bullshit fool you. Because here's people who actually served with them. Like I said, it's about a 5-minute video, but it's so worth listening to, and it's definitely worth sharing with everybody you know. So take a listen to this, folks.
He's back again to wage a public war of words against Tim Walz.
He abandoned us. I mean, what the hell kind of leader does that? I mean, he just, as soon as the shots were fired in Iraq, he turned and ran the other way and hung his hat up and quit.
We'll get to Barron's new message for voters in a moment. But this all starts years earlier when Barron says Walz's misleading statements about his military service first led him to come forward in the fall of 2018.
So you try to get this message out, but Minnesota's largest newspaper checks it out, says it's 100% true, but yet refuses to print.
When I hung the phone up, I said, what the hell is this, North Korea?
Back in 2005, a warning order went out to the 1st Battalion, 125th Field Artillery to mobilize for a mission to Iraq. At the time, Walz served as the unit's highest non-commissioned officer, but months later, Walz would retire from the Guard, avoid the deployment, and run for Congress. Tom Behrens was next in line for the position and was asked to take his place.
I was like, well, for Pete's sake, if this guy quit, and if I say I'm not going to do it, I mean, what the hell kind of leadership is that? If a company would say that we're going to deploy to Iraq or somewhere and you're going to be gone for whatever amount of time, and then the foreman just says, no, I'm not going. I mean, what does that say to the 500 people that work in that factory?
Behrens would go on to serve in Iraq on a nearly 2-year deployment as a command sergeant major. All while Walz began using that title as a congressman. Behrens says he first contacted Walz with his concerns, sending these letters to Washington. They all went unanswered.
But then we fast forward to the election in 2018 in Minnesota, and you try at that time to get people's attention with this story and also with what seems to be a very misleading statement that he continued to make about his service.
It kind of just sat there. When he was a congressman, he bragged that he was a retired command sergeant major. I'm the highest ranking person ever in the House, and all this lie that he was telling. The state of Minnesota came out after 2018, after this was exposed, and they said, well, he can say that he served as a command sergeant major, but he can't say he's a retired one because he's not.
And that's what he was saying.
And he was saying that, and there was lots of public, lots of cards coming in the mail, for him to be elected. They said right on there he's a retired command sergeant major, just tooting his own horn, just hanging on the coattails of people that actually are command sergeant majors that went through all the process and put all the time in.
A spokesperson for the Minnesota National Guard said Walz wasn't able to retire as a command sergeant major since he failed to complete coursework and requirements related to the rank. Verified documents show the Army corrected his service record. Walz was reduced in rank to an E8 Master Sergeant after retirement and his conditional promotion. Alpha News again asked Governor Walz if he's using the command sergeant major rank on his campaign website for political gain this year. A spokesperson said this has been in the news before and pointed us to a past story where Walz said, quote, normally this type of partisan political attack only comes from one who's never worn a uniform.
It's stolen valor is really what it is. I don't know of anybody else that's done what he's done, but we called it the truth about Tim Walz.
In 2018, Barron's gave the story the full court press.
We, retired command sergeant majors of the Minnesota National Guard, feel it is our duty and responsibility to bring forth the truth as we know it concerning his service record. I put together information on it and I sent it out to every single radio station and newspaper and TV station I could in the state. The bottom line in all of this is gut-wrenching and sad to explain. When the nation called, he quit.
Twin Cities TV stations and the Star Tribune were silent, even after Barron says the newspaper checked it all out. The Star Tribune endorsed Walz in 2018 for governor. Between lockdowns, riots, unchecked crime, and a charred police precinct, Barron's felt he had no choice but again to come forward.
Allowing that to be burned down was just like having the Alamo get burned down. It's like, no, you defend that to the last man. If he would have went to Iraq, he'd still be hiding under his desk over there. Because that's just the cowardice that I seen portrayed with him.
So how about when he also comes out and he calls you guys 19-year-old cooks?
I'd take any 19-year-old cook before I'd go to war with him. I don't know how he could even utter such a statement. I mean, it's just absolutely sad.
So this election year, it's all built up again to Barron's new grain bin message.
He called Jacob Fry an abject failure. So I was like, that's what he is.
Walz is a traitor, also made a return.
And the last one I put together, he said it himself too, as well, if they don't like my job, they can vote me out. So I wrote, vote him out. We need to vote him out.
Well, that was important to play, folks.
And just like Congressman Hudson said, the man is a great liar.
Great liar.
And he's got the media in Minnesota, obviously, to help him out.
He does. He does. Unbelievable, folks. That is who he is. And we felt it was super important to play that clip. That is from somebody who served with him. That is somebody that's a constituent of his in the state of Minnesota. These are people that that's not a guy that doesn't know him. Representative Hudson isn't a guy that doesn't know him. These are people that have dealt with him on a day-to-day basis, on a year-to-year basis, and they know who the real Tim Walz is. And I agree with the representative saying that the other 49 states will get to learn who he is. Now, whether you get to know that through ABC, CBS, NBC, of course not. That's why these shows are so important. That's why the Patriots Prayer Network is so important. That's where you're going to hear all this, folks, is on these kind of shows. And then from there, you share it to everybody you know. Those who like Kamala, those who don't. It doesn't matter. You got to get it out there. And the ones that are on the fence, if you're still on the fence out there, these are the kind of things you got to show them, right, Jim?
Yeah.
Yeah. So any more comments? We good? We can go on?
No, it's, again, just like Representative Hudson said, he's a liar, and he's destroying the people that actually did serve. Now, you and I talked about this before, and I don't want to go into a whole lot of detail with it, but he stepped down to run for Congress. Okay. Yeah. I don't understand that. Was he scared? I don't know. But the point of the matter is the people in his group, okay, his troop, his brothers that were going over there, in their eyes, he turned their back on him. He turned his back on them.
Yep.
Okay. So that's what I listen to.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I don't make my own point. I listen to what they say, just like I listen to what Representative Hudson says about Tim Walz as he governs in Minnesota. I'm not going to listen to what CNN says. All right. And I'm not even going to listen to what Fox says. I want to go to the source, and he is a great source.
Great source.
Okay.
Correct.
So anyway.
Great source. So Jim, let's because of our schedules and we're out here, we are working, and we don't have much time left to get to everything we wanted to today, because of having Representative Hudson on. That obviously took precedent over anything we were going to talk about anyways, because it was all going to be about this. Is there anything you want to go into quick, or anything you want to talk about? I mean, Cori Bush did lose. I mean, we got her primary. We got to kind of play that, but
let's play that at the end. But real quick, I want to kind of go over some things, and I love this. Folks, if you were in China, you did not witness the Taiwan team beating the Chinese team.
Oh,
China had a major blackout.
Oh, did they?
In badminton doubles.
Oh, badminton doubles. That's a big draw.
Taiwan beat China, and it was blacked out in China. I just thought that was funny.
I think that's funny too. Of course, it's censorship, but
it's kind of what they're doing now, right?
That seems odd, doesn't it?
President Biden's wonderful. He's awesome. He's healthy. He does this. But we're going to replace him.
Well, just a month ago, speaking of that, Walz was the guy out there saying that Joseph Biden was good enough to run his campaign, good enough to be president again, good enough to go through the rigors that it takes to get through a campaign trail again.
They lied.
Whoops. Month later.
There's going to be a former employee of CNBC.
Oh, there is. Yeah. Tell us the next person fired.
Jim Cramer is a very well-known economy guy, economics. He's financial. He's on CNBC, which is their financial network of NBC. But he says, if you care about your paycheck and your retirement, vote for Trump.
Vote for Trump. Vote for Trump. That's what he said.
He will quietly have to leave the network, or we may never hear from him again.
He might be Arkansas, right?
He might be shot. He might be shot with a shotgun and hung from a tree.
Miles away. Suicide, obviously.
I mean,
but I think that's interesting, and it's true. If you care about your paycheck, and that's what Americans care about. Yep. We care about our neighbors. We care about helping people. We care about, when it all comes right down to it, if we can't help ourselves, we can't help others. And so therefore, if you're struggling out there and you're starving, or you can't pay your bills, or they're about to turn your electric off, or everything you're feeling out there, folks, is everything Jim and I feel every day. We see it, we feel it out there. So if you care about that, there's only one candidate, and that's Trump.
Yeah. And if you guys ever want to know if something hilarious as heck, our economy is falling apart. It's all, all around us. We see it, right? The stock market, they're trying to limp it across the finish line before this election. And
they are.
It's falling apart because they have no idea how to fix it. They have no clue.
Well, they know, but
if you want to know, if you want to know what they're doing to fix it, go out to Kamala Harris's. I heard this on Fox News, and I went out, and they were correct. Go out to her website and see what her plan is to fix the economy.
Yep. What is it, Jim?
There isn't. There's nothing. There is nothing out there to fix the economy. Raising taxes on the wealthy does not fix the economy. That gives them more money to spend.
Correct.
And give to Ukraine or whoever the hell they want to give it.
Exactly. It does not fix the economy. That is for sure. This is folks. This is going to be fun for the next few months. There's going to be a lot to talk about. There's going to be a lot that happens. There's going to be some debates. We're going to see those. I'm still waiting for Kamala Harris to have a press conference. She's 19 days now into the big announcement, and she hasn't gone off script to meet with press anywhere. And of course, most press is not going to ask her a hard question. She's never going to go on Fox or Newsmax.
Okay, but let me ask you this question.
But she hasn't had a press conference.
Do you think some of the, because I know she's being asked, do you think they are putting out, okay, we will come on and do an interview, but here are the questions you can ask?
Yep.
And maybe the media is sitting here going, no, no, you're not limiting. I wonder, because you can't tell me that they're not reaching out to her to try to talk to her. CNN's got to be reaching out to her.
I mean, it's the same media that was complicit with, Biden's great, get Biden out. Harris sucked. Oh, Harris is great again. I mean, it's she wasn't a border czar. This is all what they're complicit with. So you think there's friendlies out there, obviously. Rachel Maddow will not ask her a question that is not agreed upon or that does not make Kamala Harris look good. She still hasn't done that show. I mean, like I'm saying, there are friendlies all over the place. Stephanopoulos, who might throw in a little question about the border and then move right on again and bypass it all. That's as hard as it gets. And she still won't do it. Why? Because off script Kamala is a disaster.
That's
the Democrats. That's where they lose her. Off script Kamala is absolutely a disaster for the Democrats. Hey, let's get into this real quick, Jim. A squad member goes down. The second one. This is happening, folks. This is happening. Cori Bush, out of the great state of Missouri, lost her primary. So that's 2 out of the 5 squad members, I think, at this point.
2 of
right?
them. Well, there's more, but these are the 5 most.
The 5 main ones. You still got AOC, Omar, and Tlaib. Right, those are your big 3 right now, right? The Mount Rushmore of progressive.
We can call it something else.
Mount Shitsmore,
Mount Satan or something.
But Cori Bush, and so her reaction after the announcement that she lost her primary, she went batshit crazy, of course, because that's who she is.
I thought it was very respectful.
Did you? Okay, let's listen. Here we go, guys. Ready?
A job. But all they did was radicalize me, and so now they be afraid.
She was already radical.
Get there. Oh, did it stop playing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why.
As much as I love my job, but all they did was radicalize me, and so now they be afraid.
It was unbelievable. It won't play, Jim. I don't know why.
As much as I love my job,
it just keeps going over and over. Yeah. Let's remove it. Oh, sorry, Jim. Yeah, it's not playing. I don't know why the presenting isn't working properly. I don't know if it's our Wi-Fi.
She took it very well.
She did, but it goes on for a little bit. But that she's coming after MAGA.
Have you noticed there's never any accountability?
Never.
Maybe it's her progressive ways that caused this, because it was her own party that forced her out. It wasn't MAGA.
Yeah, it wasn't.
The main people donating.
It was another Democrat who was equally be as batshit crazy, I'm sure, but another Democrat who forced her. She lost to.
Yeah,
and she's blaming MAGA for that because of the PACs. She's coming after the PAC. She's coming. Well, I'll be damned. I mean, that's right out of the Democrats' playbook?
Yes, it is.
Put the person in that put the money into the candidate that's running against them. The Democrats do it. They've done it well for a lot of years, and the Republicans are finally waking up to it. That's it. What's happening. Leveling the playing field.
If American Jewish people do not turn and vote at least 60%, at least 60% for President Trump, they don't care how they're treated. They don't care that you stand with them, but they still hate you.
Yep, correct.
I mean, one of the reasons why, by the way, folks, they didn't do this is they were scared of the protests that were going to happen. There's already going to be protests, whether Shapiro is the VP candidate or not.
There was going to be.
Kelly, if it's Walz, when they're at Chicago, there is going to be that.
There's going to be protests.
Group.
That's
They're
right.
going to be there.
Yep.
Okay. Pro Hamas. Let's just say it what it is.
Let's
say pro Hamas group is going to be there.
They're going to be there,
whether Shapiro was there or not.
That's right. Right. That's right. Yeah, it's a bizarre chase. It's a bizarre chase. Yeah. It's a bizarre, absolutely choice. I don't get it. Yeah. I loved President Trump's tweet right after she announced that Walz was her running mate. He simply put 2 words: thank you.
Yep.
That says it all, folks.
Maurice from our network, the Patriot Prayer Network, he put out an interesting thing yesterday saying that, are these 2 really going to be the ones running?
Yeah.
Oh, and it
it's true.
Makes you wonder.
It's true.
I mean,
It's true. Are they really going to, once the numbers truly come in, are they going to be, once the honeymoon's over here, and it'll be right after their convention, are these the two that they're actually going to run, or is something going to happen?
And remember,
this is, I put it past, don't put anything past them. Jim.
This pick got the stamp of approval from Bernie Sanders. Enough said. We don't need to say anymore.
Enough said. Jim, let's hear from Grit Gear real quick, and then we'll come back and wrap the show up. Right here, folks. Maybe.
Grit is defined as firmness of character, unyielding courage in the face of hardship or danger. At Grit Gear Apparel, we honor all military, police, fire, public service, and patriotic Americans, both men and women regardless of color, creed, or religion. Our brand represents the love and freedom for our country, the heroism of all our men and women, and the principles of what this wonderful country was built on. Our goal is to regenerate the sense of patriotism and to spark the American pride within us, to stand together in the toughest times and become victorious, to preserve all our freedoms, to honor our flag, and to respect the men and women who have fought and died for us to have these freedoms. Wear our brand with pride, with a sense of patriotism, and as a statement for the love of our country. Whether you're military, public official, or civilian, our brand is for you. Together we stand as Americans.
Yes, folks, again, gritgearapparel.com, lockandloadcoffee.com. Thank you, Buckeye, again for that.
And don't forget, Christmas is coming up, folks. And
Christmas.
These shirts are, I'm not kidding. I am not kidding you. They are very, very soft.
Wow.
And they feel really nice. You got to go out and look at them.
You got to go grab some, folks. They've got, it's just such a great company. I can't even tell you the support that they deserve. They absolutely deserve it. And we didn't mention, and we will, Warrior Shield. Thank you. That was good timing. I was just about to say, we won't get to play the ad today, but don't forget about warriorshield.org. Tickets are still available. They are going super fast for the Warrior Weekend event. September 6th through the 8th at the Rosen Center in Orlando, Florida. Mention two guys and you get 20% off your tickets, guys. 20% off. If you can't make it, we understand. Donate. Support them. That goes to amazing causes. It helps veterans, first responders, and Gold Star.
Look at their auction items. Go to the website. Look at the auction items. Something looks good to you. Place a bid. Donate $5-10.
I've placed some bids already, so we'll see. Don't outbid me.
We know the people. This money goes to who they say it goes to.
They say it's right. This is a true 501c3. It's not BLM. That's all I can tell you. So remember that. Again, I want to thank everybody listening and everybody. Sorry about the Native Patriot. Hopefully that's corrected by Monday.
It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be 48 hours is what.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. So hopefully that's corrected for those who don't listen or normally listen on there. But thank you for joining in again. Thank you, Buckeye. Thank you, everybody, for contributing to the show as always.
The comments. Thank you.
Yeah, always. We love your support. We wouldn't do it without you. Thank you, Patriots Per Network, for giving us this opportunity to present it all to you. Without them, this wouldn't happen. So, I mean, this is absolutely amazing.
Go out and check the line at the Patriot Prayer Network. The next Monday show, we'll have all that. We'll give them again, the times, who they are, what time you catch them.
Follow them, follow everybody on the network. We are all fighting for one cause, and that's America. That's America first.
We're all patriots.
We're all patriots, and we're all fighting for that cause, and we need your support out there. So please go do that. Thank you to Representative Walter Hudson of the great state of Minnesota for coming on. I can talk to that guy for hours. I kid you not. He is just an amazing human being, and he is fighting hard in a state. I mean, he is behind enemy territory there. And on the front lines fighting for that state. We need to take that state back. And he had some encouraging words about what could potentially happen there. And that's good news. That is great news, not just for the state, for America. That is great news. So we thank him again for coming on. Jim, as always, I thank you for your contribution. We really do appreciate it. We will be back in our studios next week.
Yeah, because I'm kind of handicapped with what I got right now. So.
I know you are. So we will be back in our studios. Again, thank you for the patience. If there was any Wi-Fi issues, I don't really think we had any today. I think it went pretty well. Until Monday, which stay tuned. Ryan Weaver will be here Monday.
Burn it down.
Yep. Country music singer, veteran, two-time Gold Star family member. Will be here to talk about himself and the Warrior Shield Foundation and the event that's taking place where he is headlining there. Make sure you tune in Monday, 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific. It's that way every Monday and Wednesday. We will be here. Stay tuned for that show. We can't wait for you all to hear him and speak with him again. Until then, Jim, I bid you goodbye. Everybody out there, I bid you goodbye. God bless the United States of America. Stay strong. We need to fight. We need to vote. We can win this. We definitely can win this.
God bless America.
Yeah, God bless America for sure. Folks, we'll talk to you all on Monday. Thank you again. Have a great weekend. See you, Jim.